Welcome to the Overnight Success Podcast. I'm super excited to be on season 2, first live in-person episode. We've got Gabriel Salinas, the founder of San Antonio Bitcoin Club. I'm excited because I've known Gabriel for a while now, but I don't really know Gabriel. And we're going to talk a lot about San Antonio's Bitcoin Club, the company he's building, as well as purpose. Like, I'm going to ask him why he started this company and what brought him here. And so I'm really excited. And so I'm going to let him do a little bit of a deeper introduction. So, Gabriel, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Name's Gabriel Salinas. Born and raised here, San Antonio. Crazy Bitcoin guy for a little while. But why San Antonio? Do you just want me to go there? How do we want to start this?
Sure, that sounds good.
So why San Antonio? Well, I'm born and raised from here. So I see the Bitcoin crypto space already scammy enough as it is. So why not have a local here that's not going to run or scam? All my family and friends are here. So it just adds to our whole concept and model of being a resource here for the city rather than, an outsider coming in to extract value, being a business, which totally understand business has got to survive. We're looking at it more as trying to inject value into our community, and that's through education. We're a lot different from everyone else just because we don't tell people to buy or sell anything. It's more of like, we want to get to the community why Bitcoin, and everybody's why is different. Just like why we all work, why we play sports, everyone has a different why for money. Bitcoin in particular. So yeah, that's what we do. That's our thing. I've lost a lot of money coming into the space and learning all this stuff. So if I can help as many, locals as I can avoid those pitfalls, then it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to kind of unravel some of this because as a founder, you saw a problem and you chose San Antonio to really work through this, right? And you calling San Antonio home to build this company. And inside of that, one of the things is I want to back way up and ask, what even is Bitcoin? So, like, this podcast is talking about from essentially like that overnight success is not a real story, but Bitcoin kind of just like hit the market and cryptocurrency. And so, if our audience isn't aware of what that is, like, how would you explain that?
Bitcoin, it's literally the only true blockchain out of everything. Um, everything else is made by a company, somebody owns it. Uh, Centralization, they're not real blockchains, Ponzi schemes. So a lot of people in the space are afraid of saying those words, but once you know what's really going on, you can see what Bitcoin really is. And since no one controls it, it's just true value. That's why we're seeing it such a crazy high price. There is no stock splits in Bitcoin. There's no taking out loans on. Well, now you can actually, um, but yeah, it's just a true representation of where our economy is at right now. The power of the dollar. I like to say it's a measuring stick of the value of the dollar. But if I'm gonna just be real, just be honest, it's literally a bank account that has no inflation. It's not affected by inflation. All of us pay the 30% every year. Doesn't matter who you are. Best way to put it, no inflation in your bank account.
Yeah, interesting. And why did you choose to build a business around Bitcoin?
Just I've been wanting to do Bitcoin for a while. When I got into the space in 2018, I was learning, reading, studying. 21 was when I met a lot of people way smarter than me, Slayer heroes. So I got to meet a lot of these Bitcoin influencers and people on CNN. And why I'm just rambling. So
Okay.
what'd you say? Why Bitcoin or why?
Why did you choose to start a company around Bitcoin?
Oh, so why? Just because I found out how a lot of the cryptos work, and it starts just getting deeper into the why again. Um, since a lot of them are Ponzi schemes, it turns into an unethical practice where I'm trying to get people to come in and buy this thing at a higher price so I can take your value. So I didn't like the scamminess behind that, the whole, altcoin casino is what they call it. I wanted to bring something to San Antonio that has a history. Uh, no big money's tied to it, so it doesn't lean left or right, nor does it care. Um, it's literally just like they say, digital gold. Gold's underneath this building right now that we're in, and or it could be, and it's just there. Like if somebody finds it, cool, you found it. Um, but that's really why I went with Bitcoin. When it starts digging into the whys, it starts to unravel a lot of stuff because you're able to follow the money. So we have a saying in Bitcoin where we say Bitcoin fixes this because essentially in life, money touches everything. All choices, everything has an incentive behind it. So with Bitcoin, there there is no debt-based system. There is no these programs to essentially just keep these problems ongoing rather than strike them at the core of, okay, how can we eliminate world hunger? How can we really fix homelessness? How can we fix a lot of these societal problems? So that's where I'm at with it. As far as for me, I just think it's going to add value to San Antonio in general. I've been able to help out family and friends, so I just wanted to expand that to the city I grew up in, giving back to it.
Yeah. So maybe an ignorant question on my side. I have a more, we'll call it profound in just a second, but is there an equivalence of the dollar equals a Bitcoin, or is there like a breakdown of that?
The dollar equals a Bitcoin.
Is that a weird question?
Well, eventually, once the price goes to 100 million, the smallest unit of a Bitcoin will be worth $1. So it's called dollar sat parity. Still got a while for it, but right now, if I have to compare it, it's like a dollar is about 700 700 pennies in comparison to what a big you need 100 million pennies to get a Bitcoin. A dollar right now is 700 pennies.
Interesting. Okay. So kind of going back to what you were just talking about, thank you for taking me
No
on that
problem.
little
Yeah.
tangent, is looking at looking at why San Antonio, and obviously you're well educated in this, and you're at almost 8 years now in business and pursuing in Bitcoin, it sounds like. And looking at the impact you've seen it make, the opportunities that you see it, and the, we'll call it purpose, the passion you have behind it. So one of the questions I kind of wanted to ask you, and in this space with that context and theme, is what is your overnight success story? Like, you've been in this, you've been grinding, you've been pushing through. Being a founder has its ups and downs, right? And
Oh yeah.
I'd just love to hear a little bit more about like the overnight success story, if you will.
Well, can overnight success happen? Sure. Definitely it's out there for some people. I've been blessed to meet individuals who have achieved it overnight. But for the most part, everything I've read, everything I'm learning, listening to, it's not overnight. It looks like it's overnight, but that's because you're in the dungeon over here, putting this puzzle together, and then you bring it out every now and then to show people, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" Um, Now the biggest thing is just to be consistent, really. Keep showing up. I know it sounds probably real corny and real commercial saying that, but no, it means a lot. It's easy to get distracted, discouraged. Like you said, the highs and the lows definitely come. I think about it like waves, but what I believe in as far as overnight success is like, how do I say this? I guess I'm not looking for success. It comes with impact, and then to follow up on that, I've read one time when you're starting something, if you can make it bigger than yourself, it's harder to fail. So that's why I say, all this stuff I'm starting, I don't like to say CEO. I just like to say founder because it's really the city that's getting behind it. And that's what I want for the people. So even our new office space, people were always telling me, hey, nice place. I'm saying, well, it's the city's place. Like, I hope it's nice. It's for everybody. Um, but yeah, success overnight, just showing up, um, having faith. Another thing I've read about it, it's like you're falling out of an airplane and building it at the same time. Definitely can relate to that. And then also being in tech, I don't know how it is in SaaS and regular fintech, but definitely in Bitcoin, they say when you're working on a Bitcoin standard, the clock moves that much faster. So it's just staying adaptable as well, stepping up to any challenges. I recently started kind of coming more into the whole entrepreneurship thing as well. Having to be able to do AV audio, video, being able to edit, cut, post, pay the bills, go out and market. Um, yeah, it just depends how bad you want it. And for me, researching a lot of culture and history of the city, it's almost iconic of like how we did Hemisphere when we first did the festival back in the days. I want to say it was the 60s or 70s. But we kind of just built this park and to the world, we were like, hey, we're a mega city as well. And yeah, a lot of history. It's kind of reminiscent of what we're doing here with the Bitcoin scene. Notice no representation from San Antonio at all. And we have so much cybersecurity here and military presence, and no one's working on this, the greatest invention since fire. You know, we're seeing Bitcoin and all these other cryptos. The best way you gotta look at Bitcoin is, well, how many times were they able to recreate fire? Haven't. Bitcoin's the same way. It was a discovery. Now everyone's trying to scam people off of this with a bunch of crypto. Um, but yeah, I kind of went off a little bit there.
No, no, that was good. I appreciate it. I always love to hear just kind of the riff of it. And I think too, looking at a few things that you said, one was where do I dive in? There was such good content here, but where I want to kind of dive in here is I really appreciate the humble like grassroots beginnings, the desire to like help the homegrownness, if you will. And the other thing on that is um really looking at what do people misunderstand the most about Bitcoin? I think I'm hearing kind of like maybe little pieces of it, but I want to point blankly ask that question because obviously you're knowledgeable and you have this passion behind it. And so would love to hear like where do people get Bitcoin wrong? And yeah, I have another one, but
For sure.
we'll start there.
Well, you have to look at it as the society we live in. Being in college, you're taught economics 101, but you're only taught one version of economics. It's a Keynesian economics, so it means a debt-based society. Growing up for the last 50 years, it's always been go to school, get good grades, so you can go to college, get in debt, but you're going to get a good job. So you're able to pay that off. And then you go buy a house, get more debt, get a new car, more debt, but you have a good job. This is why you went to college. So it's a debt-based society that we've grown up in our whole lives. And what people don't understand about Bitcoin is it operates in another system of economics called Austrian. And it goes back to how my parents and your parents were raised. Save up until you have enough to go buy it. The older generations, debt wasn't around. None of this credit cards, the banks barely came around. So that's where a lot of people lose it is, and it's hard to tell somebody, you have the concepts of money, you have them wrong. But if they have $1 million, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm doing pretty good over here. And then it falls into, well, the $1 million that you have, is it money or currency? And then it's like we have to start looking at money and currency, which one's a store of value, which one's used to pay for your coffee. So yeah, it's pretty much just dying to self when it comes to Bitcoin, realizing you don't know anything and humbling yourself, seeing that there have been, other great minds, the best of the best come to Bitcoin. Right now we have Michael Saylor. I don't know if you know who he is. You should Anybody listening to this, y'all should look into Michael Saylor. He's a ex aerospace engineer, owns MicroStrategies. It's a Fortune 500 company, dying company the last 6 years. Um, Learned Bitcoin, and this last year he blew out Nvidia by like 3,000%, and no one's talking about him. Yeah, he. So it's when you get minds like that in this, and they're telling you what they learned. That's when you have to humble yourself and just be a sponge. That's another thing here at the club is we never tell anybody we're experts at this. Big red flag if anybody ever tells you I'm a Bitcoin expert or crypto expert. Yeah, they start running. So that's another thing we do bring to the table. It's like we're not experts. We're going to tell you what we think and what we read and what we look at, and everyone makes their decision for themselves. You know?
Yeah. Well, you just touched on something, and I love that you call it the club. But I've seen you, in the space, and you do these meetups, and they're very educational, and you bring people in to help teach them. Unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity to make one yet, but what do you do at those? Is it education, or what do you do in those meetups?
Yeah, so education, how I said earlier, money touches everything. We believe here at the club, Bitcoin touches everything because it's money. So we bring in people doing different things. We brought in venture capitalists, we brought in Bitcoin CEOs, Bitcoin developers, Bitcoin artists, farmers, doctors, ranchers, you name it. This next one coming up at the end of the month, we're bringing in a former vet, really high ranking military officer, real deep into philosophy, graduated from West Point. I think he was a captain as well too of some squad or something. But we try and do these meetups to show people again the why. So why I got into Bitcoin is probably different from why Christy gets into Bitcoin. And yeah, my mom's going to get into it way different than what I'm going to get into it. So my whole intention is to tug at the strings of hearts of different people. And, maybe if we hit on something, it'll get you that much more convicted and to see it's more than just a stock or all this other stuff that the news tells you. You can see, why Bitcoin for you. I was explaining to some people the other day, the best way to put it is it's like a tool. So think about a hammer. I can put a hammer on the table and say, build me something. And, a kid's going to look at it and be like, I don't know what to do with it. But, someone that's older, knows what the hammer can do, can build or can tear down stuff. I go up to them and I say, hey, build me something. They'll be able to grab the hammer and, okay. So same thing like we're doing down here is what I tell people. It's a tool, and however money is to you, because money to Gabe is different than what money is to Christy. And your life's way different from my life. But we both need money, right? So however you handle it's going to be way different from how I handle it. But we're going to use it to optimize our lives as best as we can.
Yeah.
So
I really like that analogy. I kind of want to go deeper on it and ask the question of you mentioned money and currency, or money versus currency, and it's a tool. Can you just dive a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it in general, money is a tool. It can be used to build or it can be used to do, nefarious things, right? Um, as far as currency, there is a big difference. Money is durable, tangible. You can divisible, easily recognizable. Can't recreate it, or it should be hard to make. That's money. Currency is the dollar. It's man-made. money is something we can all agree on is money, which is gold, I guess, at this point, even though I can't use gold or you can't use gold. Um, but yeah, currency, it's like, you have the yen, you have the peso, you have the dollar. If you look through the history of money, there's been like 300 currencies that have died. I mean, we can even go back to the Roman Empire and see they started clipping their shillings. Um, so yeah, and to use it as a tool. So the really cool thing about Bitcoin is it's able to give you back enough time. Um, if we're going to talk about, because it does a lot, but one of the coolest things is it gives you back time. So when me and you go to work, anybody watching this, we give up two things that we'll never get back: our time and our energy. Those two things are the most scarcest things we have as individuals on this planet. And we trade them for dollars. But guess what? They're printing our dollars. So 30% tax we're paying. And we don't even see it because our bank account still says, hey, I have 1 million. It's not 30% less, but it buys 30% less. So we're putting our time and our energy into something where essentially this rug is getting pulled out from under us without even knowing, right? And some people look at it and it's like, why do I got to work paycheck to paycheck, make ends meet? We're seeing that all over right now. It's a crazy time. So now you're starting to see depression and you're starting to see all these different mental health effects. From 10 years ago, they weren't, I mean, they were still a big deal, but they've grown like in volume. Why some people may think, hey, it's maybe the rat race. You're putting your time and energy into something that's not producing anything for you. At least it's not worth it because our currency is going down. So the thing about Bitcoin is when you put some time and energy into it and it grows, guess what? It just gave you back time and energy because now you don't have to go disperse that to make money. It just did that for you. So now you can work on something that's even more important to you, whether that be family, friends, loved ones, building, whatever you want to, use your time for, study, build yourself up, learn. So that's one of the cooler things about Bitcoin. Another thing too is the way I like to think about it is I always used to like to watch the old Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? It blew my mind how he bought that big candy bar for 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really got it. And essentially what Bitcoin is imagine you froze that 50-cent piece in time with how much it could buy and it didn't get inflated away. How much would it be worth, 2025? If it could buy, and that candy bar is like $5, that Wonka bar, it's a big candy bar. So maybe that 50 cents is $5 now, $50, $500, I don't know. A lot of math in that, but yeah, you're essentially storing your own value for yourselves and you can deploy it when you want to. No one should be able to tell you what to do with your time, your money, your energy. Unfortunately, we live in a time, a lot of scams, a lot of stuff going on. So there are regulations on, money transfers and things you can do with your money at the bank. But it's all for your protection, right? So
I feel like I'm getting much more educated on Bitcoin today. Is there a question that you feel like I haven't asked you that I should have asked you on this episode today?
No, I mean, I'm just shooting from the hip.
Well, I like that. I appreciate the conversation today. And where can people find you?
Google us, San Antonio Bitcoin Club. We also have a workspace down here in Alamo Labs. So it's a Bitcoin hub where we're labeling it as a place of innovation. I'm actually about to do a talk on this here at Startup Week. But we need places like that to push innovation. Right now, what we're seeing is nothing crazy is coming out of San Antonio yet because we're all using the same tools. Think about it, Google, workspace, all these sweet tools. So nothing original is coming out. So there we can have conversations. We can build towards goals. It's real boots on the ground. So Alamo Labs, San Antonio Bitcoin Club. We're all over Twitter, social media, everywhere. Our premier meetup is the last Friday of every month, so we keep that pretty easy to remember. And then we have different meetups throughout the month as far as Bitcoin mining, so energy, oil, gas. Thank God for Bitcoin, so get more into the ethical side of money. And then we also do well, what we're known for down here, educate on Bitcoin. We're the only 501c3 foundation in Texas that's credited with giving Bitcoin diplomas. So that's another reason, why we do what we do. Not selling anything, just educate.
Yeah. And so I actually, one more question popped into my head
Yeah.
is 5, 10 years from now, what does success look like for you with San Antonio Bitcoin Club?
My hope is to get this thing up and running on its own. Again, it's not for me. Started out as a thing for me, I guess. They say you build for something you need, and then it finds a product or market fit. So my goal would be just to get this thing up and running, living on its own. The community backs it; they want it. It's out there representing the city, and yeah, we just remain here as a resource as we move further into the digital age. Same as Geekdom has been here for about like 15 years, made themselves a staple here, and now it's the startup, center of San Antonio, I would say for sure. So something like that to where we want to be all things Bitcoin, all things blockchain. Come to us and point you in the right direction.
Amazing. Well, Gabriel, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the Overnight Success podcast. Appreciate you. And if our listeners have any questions for Gabriel, we will have the show notes and the links in the, we'll have the links in the show notes. And thank you again. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate it.